So, let's talk about the way how this world is seeing death. From my personal experience in the hospital, I can tell you, dear friends, that there is a huge business around the death. It looks like when someone is dying, then everyone who is around this person, and this person from some reason is not too old to be considered as a potential person to die, then everyone is searching for a victim or for someone who they can accuse of this death. And it's very sad because we're dealing here in this world with phenomena of fear from death. And this fear is projected in the way how doctors are thinking, in the way how we have different specialists for insurance in case something happens. This fear is projected in the way that if something bad happens, then definitely we have to suffer under circumstances which are coming afterwards. But when we look on the death as a path of the consciousness, and when we look on the death that there is something in between heaven and earth which we cannot influence, and no one is culpable of death of certain person, nor doctors nor other people who are around, we are opening a new dimension of understanding how the path of the soul is working in this physical world. And this path of the soul means that there are certain souls who are certain souls which just wanted to experience a short time being in the human's body. This very often we can see in the labor ward or in the miscarriages, where the heartbeat was there on the ultrasound and the heart was beating of the embryo, and then suddenly it stops. And here what is counting the medicine is usually, until certain pregnancy week it's normal that something like that is happening. Here the death is totally okay. But when we go to the advanced stages of the pregnancy, then something is changing in the people around, and when something happens, they are searching for reason why that happened. And what is the problem is that people are not asking question why this soul had this path to experience this feeling to be in a human body or in an embryo, but they are searching for a victim. Who is responsible for this death? Yes, for sure it must be doctor, or yes, probably this is the reason why this person died because the doctor did mistake. But when we look on this from other side, it means that each soul is attracting experience into their lives which they truly need and want to experience. And when from some reason on my path is to die, then I will attract all circumstances around me to die. And it's like that. I will attract the doctors who are there to support me in dying. I will attract the circumstances where the surgery will be so complicated that I will die. It's what we are creating in our consciousness which ideas and thoughts we have that we are attracting. But our thoughts are connected with the consciousness. They are connected with the certain blueprint which we have inside us, which we wanted to live in this lifetime. When I was doctor in the hospital, and I wanted to help many patients, because when you are a doctor you would like to do good and help people. One patient who came to me said, "Doctor, I was praying all weeks long to find someone where I can die." And I was like, "Why are you coming to hospital? You can die maybe at home." And she was like, "But I want to die with you." And I was like, "Why with me? Why I'm attracting situations like that?" And these situations were helping me to work with this consciousness and collective fear of death. And there I have seen that this patient was so calm to come to die that no one was complaining at all. Her family just accepted that she died. She accepted that she died, and no one was accusing me of being an assistant during the process of her dying. Actually, she was facing a surgery which got complicated, and she just passed away afterwards for the complications. But she attracted this situation because she wanted it like this. It was just soul who wanted to finish human experience, and there was no other way than to face a certain surgery and just to die. What would change in the collective consciousness if we will look on the dying as on the way how the consciousness and soul is following its own path? What if we can accept that when someone around us is dying in the medical field, it's not the fault of the doctor, it's not the fault of some technical problem in the hospital, it's not caused by some change or by something what we have to search for the victim, but it is planned path of that person and of that soul where we shouldn't be interfering into. There are also many mediums. Mediums are people who can communicate between earth and heaven. And when I'm facing a situation that I am nearby dying person, and that soul is asking me question like, "Please let me just leave and let me just go," and I always ask that soul why she would like to live this human experience. For example, when I was helping my grandfather with the COVID, that soul just wanted to live. It was amazing how powerful this soul in the level of consciousness was. That soul was like, "I would like to live, I would like to live, I would like to live, whatever you do, I would like to stay here and I would like to live." And I was like, "Okay, no problem, just stay here. It's perfect that you see clarity that you would like to stay alive." And what I very often tell people around me is that when the soul gives up, the body follows. But when the soul and consciousness has a strong will to live, then the soul and consciousness will transform the human body, the physical body, to heal itself and to stay alive. And this is the new way how we should approach the way how we understand dying, living, and part of the consciousness. And through this understanding, we should transform the business of that which we have in this world nowadays. And afterwards, everything will change. We will have less lawsuits because we will understand that this soul from some reason wanted this experience like that. Then we will have no insurance companies in the way of malpractice, because people will accept that it is the way how the soul is attracting certain experiences into their life. And there is no fault of certain doctor, because the doctor is doing maximum what he or she can in a certain moment. And afterwards, the doctors can feel much more in ease doing the art of healing and the art of medicine when they have around the patients who trust them. On the other hand, what is happening in this society is that people are giving responsibility for their health and body to the doctors. I can tell you, this is not the way how this is supposed to work. Because if we look on the consciousness, that consciousness is inside the body having unique experience, that means that we are the only person who has responsibility, who is responsible for its own life. Because this only person and consciousness is here, and there is no one around us who is on this path. Everyone around us is just projection or actors who play out a certain role in our life to understand the growth of our soul, to understand lecture, or to understand our experience, which our soul wanted to experience, to grow further in this school of the souls, which the earth is supposed to be. And when we look on that the earth is the school of the souls, that means that each soul is attracting a certain experiences into its life, and there is no one culpable of any complication or problem which arises during this experience called life. So, dear friends, let's dream the world where we heal fear of death, where we understand that death is just other dimension of our consciousness, where we go because our consciousness is inside our body having physical experience, and we are just souls having physical human experience. And when we understand that this path is eternal and never ending, then there is no fear of death. We are just transferring to other dimension. And sometimes we just need help from people around us, from doctors who are always standing between earth and heaven. And these souls are assisting us to accomplish this transition if this is experience which we wanted to live in certain moment. And this is healing the paradigm where the fear of death is being monetized. And fear of death is connected with the fear of failure. And failure is actually represent fear of death. And where this fear of death is coming from? Well, it's coming from the perinatal time. Very often when we had a complicated delivery, birth, and we don't remember it, obviously, of course, we were not in that moment to remember it, but our cells and our consciousness remembers it. And when we had a complicated delivery, where we faced death at the beginning of our life, on this earth, in the physical plane, then we are facing this situation of failure everywhere in our life. But when we accept that there is no fear of failure, because each failure is part of the experience, and we didn't fail being born or with a complicated delivery, that it was something we just wanted to experience, then this part of the failure is just being healed inside of us, and we can consciously step up on our authentic path as human beings, without any fear of death and without any fear of failure.